So it looks like Sony's new PS5 Digital has finally hit the shelves, and it's great news for Sony's pockets, that is, but not really anybody else. It's Sunday, so let's get sensational. I'm Mike, and I'm back to talk about the gaming news. Just like Sony is back with new hardware, which isn't as exciting as it may sound. So a few weeks ago, we talked about a rumor that Sony was releasing a revised version of the digital PS5 in Europe that would take the storage from 1 terabyte down to 825 gigs, aka the amount of storage that the PS5 started with, and it looks like that rumor is indeed true. So the revised version of the PS5 Digital has hit shelves in Europe with the reduced storage at the same price as the previous 1 terabyte model. Sony also made some small changes to the look of the console by making the finish all matte, and they redesigned some of the internals. They made the cooling more efficient and made the cooler smaller, aka it's cheaper to produce now. So yeah, basically this revision is to cut costs for Sony and nothing else. There's no word if this revised version of the PS5 Digital is coming to the US, but with the way things are going with the price increases and the tariffs and this whole situation, it's probably going to come to the US at some point. But maybe by the time it'll come, we'll have a new PS5 controller. So there's a new rumor that originated from a Polish site, ppe.pl, that Sony is working on a revision of the DualSense that will feature a removable battery. This version will replace the existing DualSense and potentially have a higher capacity battery option that could be purchased as well. This change is definitely welcome because personally, I like the PS5 controller, but the battery life is trash. I felt the same about the PS4 controller as well, so if they do something that has a removable battery, especially if you can get a higher capacity one, I'm all for it. It would also prolong the life of the controller since the battery can be easily swapped if it dies, so unlike the new digital PS5, I hope this actually does come to fruition. But Sony isn't the only company that's made some questionable moves lately, as Xbox continues their ascension up the price ladder. So it's been a rough few weeks for Xbox fans already with the price increase a couple of weeks ago, and then Costco mysteriously just stopped selling Xboxes. So with all the negativity around the Xbox brand, they thought it would be a great time to increase the price of Game Pass again. So Microsoft has announced that they're raising the prices of some of their Game Pass tiers. So the Game Pass Essential and Premium tiers are keeping their current prices of $10 and $15 respectively. They also renamed both of those tiers, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. Now for the tiers that are getting price increases. Game Pass for PC is going from $12 a month to $16.50, and the biggest change is Ultimate is going from $20 a month to $30 a month, which of course is a 50% price increase. Now I will say with the price increases, they did make some changes to the tiers themselves. So Game Pass Essential, which used to be called Core, added the ability to play games that are included in that tier on PC. Game Pass Premium, which was formerly called Standard, will now get all of the new games added within a year, except for Call of Duty because Microsoft. And again, both of those tiers are staying the same price. The PC Game Pass tier is basically staying the same, so you'll get all the same games on day one. It's just the price is increasing. And with Ultimate, they're adding access to Fortnite Crew and Ubisoft Plus Classics, as well as 1440p streaming on Xbox's cloud service. So I didn't want to be unfair and not mention that they're technically adding some stuff to Game Pass with these changes, but they also did take a couple things away. So Microsoft has also made changes to the rewards program and made it so that points can no longer be redeemed directly for Game Pass subscriptions. You have to instead redeem them for an Xbox gift card, and then you can use that to buy a subscription to Game Pass, which I feel like is them just adding another step to encourage people to spend their points on other stuff instead of saving money on their monthly subscription costs. The other thing people have noticed is that add-ons for Call of Duty are no longer discounted for Game Pass Ultimate subscribers. So previously there was a 10% discount for subscribers, but now that seems to have disappeared. So overall, I get that they've added value to most of the Game Pass tiers, even though they're trying to make some of the stuff around the edges worse, but I don't feel like the increase for Ultimate is really worth it. Also, let me be honest, I feel like they're increasing prices because they finally got some good games under their belt, and they feel like the service is worth more money now. There were many years where Microsoft struggled to put out good first-party games, and now the investments they made with buying up all these studios and like Activision and Bethesda and all that stuff is finally paying off, and they have a lot more good first-party games on the service, so they're trying to increase the price. But like I alluded to earlier in the story, the timing is really bad, especially after doing 2 price increases for their consoles, and I get that some of that had to do with tariffs, but I don't feel like this price increase did. Now, as far as the increase for Game Pass on PC, which I am currently subscribed to, I think it sucks that it went up, but I don't feel like the price is that bad considering you still get all the games on day one, including Call of Duty. It also seems like they're trying to add more value to the lower tiers of Game Pass, which they didn't increase the prices on those because when they first introduced them, they were seen as a bad value. which, I mean, in my opinion, they still are, but I think part of them increasing Ultimate and then adding features to those tiers was to make it seem like they're better value. But overall, with the recent console and Game Pass price increases, I really feel like the Xbox brand may be in trouble. But aside from the price increases, Microsoft also did mass layoffs in July, which affected several Xbox studios and projects, and also third-party studios that were working on projects with them, like Avalanche Studios. So Avalanche Studios is probably best known for the Just Cause series, and they have been working on a new game called Contraband that was supposed to be published by Xbox Game Studios, but was recently put on hold due to what we assume was the layoffs and cancellation of several projects that Microsoft announced in July. But as a result of the game being placed on hold, Avalanche has announced that they will close their studios in Liverpool, and they will reduce their workforce in their Malmo and Stockholm studios as well. They haven't said how many people will be affected by the studio closure and layoffs, as they haven't made it official yet. They're just in the beginning process of it. But considering that there are 3 locations that are being affected, I assume it's probably gonna be a large number of people that are being let go. Now, of course, Avalanche didn't say why Contraband was placed on hold, but like the other studios affected by the Microsoft layoffs and project cancellations, they're probably not allowed to say due to the contract that they signed. But outside of the Microsoft-related layoffs, Starbreeze has also announced layoffs after canceling one of their games. So Starbreeze is probably best known for the Payday series, and they were working on a co-op Dungeons & Dragons game, which has now been canceled. As a result of the cancellation, they've announced that they're laying off 44 members of their staff and shifting their focus back to Payday. Starbreeze did put out a statement, but it was more about how they're shifting their focus back to Payday and about how their financials are fine. But they didn't really mention if they're offering any kind of support or benefits to the employees they're letting go. But yeah, we had a little break from the layoffs, but it looks like they're still very much alive and well, unfortunately. All right, after getting through all that news, I feel like there's no way anything else major could have happened this week, is what I would say if EA hadn't made a huge announcement, and that's what we're talking about today. In our final story. So I feel like Electronic Arts really needs no introduction. They're one of the biggest publishers in gaming, and they basically churn out a new Madden every year, and they've done so for the last few decades at least. Of course, they have other big franchises too, like Mass Effect and Battlefield, but basically EA and Activision were the 2 biggest publishers in gaming until, of course, Activision got snatched up by Microsoft, and now EA is also being sold. So it was announced that EA is being purchased and taken private by the Saudi Arabia Public Investment Fund, or PIF, Silver Lake, and Affinity Partners for $55 billion. Now, with them going private, the shareholders will of course get a payout, and they also mentioned that the current CEO, Andrew Wilson, will remain in place, as well as their headquarters in Redwood City, California. Now, the investment group hasn't really elaborated on what their plans are for EA, but them going private could mean that they won't be under as much pressure from shareholders to just release highly profitable games every year, because EA owns a bunch of IP that they don't use at all because they've solely been focused on games that are going to make them the most money. Or this investment group could take them private. They can keep doing the same thing, it's just the profits will go to fewer people. The Engadget article also mentioned the mass layoffs they did earlier this year, which resulted in them canceling the Black Panther game they had in development. But looking at it now, it feels like they probably did that to increase their valuation for the sale. Either way, they still have to go through regulatory bodies to get approval, and if it's approved, it's expected to be closed in early 2027. The only thing that we know for sure with this whole situation is that there will still be a Madden every year, whether we want it or not. But let me know how you feel down in the comments about EA being acquired, and what do you think the future looks like for them under this new ownership? Again, let me know down below, and if you enjoyed this video, then make sure to tell a friend, tell a coworker, like, share, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification button thing wherever it is to be notified when I drop a video or a live stream. And I always do at least 2 things at the same time. Peace.